What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Guys, today was supposed to be dyno day, and I have maybe 7 hours to figure out if I'm going or not, because Blueberry is still running a little bit hot. I mentioned this in a couple of videos ago. I think that the car is running higher than normal temperature. I spent the last couple of days off camera working on Project Blueberry to figure out why the car is running hot, and hot as in 200 plus degrees on the ECU. The car is throwing a check engine light for overheating, which is 230 on the ECU, and at one point the car is reading 232. On the temperature gauge on my dashboard, it's reading like about 223, and the sensor is next to the factory ECT sensor. So when I see the gauge running in the 200s, I know the ECT sensor to the ECU is running hotter. I saw the coolant reservoir filled up, and that led me to believe that the radiator cap was not doing its job. It was an old 1.3 that I found in my scrap bin, but I took the one off the KRX just to test it out, a 1.1, and the temperature held. Coolant doesn't go in the reservoir anymore, and that played a big role to the cooling system. Even though it helped a little bit, it still runs a little bit hotter. So instead of the 223 it was sitting at, now it's reading at about 210. And yesterday I took the turbo blanket off my wagon, since I don't really drive the car. I took the turbo blanket off to stick it onto Blueberry, and the temperature kind of went down to like 207. And again, the highest I saw it then was like 210, but that's like after driving 10 miles on the freeway and stuff. While tinkering with the car yesterday, I was taking a look at the fan, right? The fan turns on earlier, like, you know, 100 degrees. I don't know why it's set to 190, but it turns on earlier, and I'm looking at the fan and I'm like, okay, you know, it's working, it's drawing, it's sucking through the backside, it's pulling through the front, and it's working like it should. But I noticed that when I put my hand in front of the fan, like here's the fan right in front of it, I can feel the air. But I noticed that when I put my hand further away from the fan, kind of where the shift mechanism is on the transmission, I don't feel the air at all. Like, I don't feel the fan blowing that far at all. On my red all-wheel drive CRX, man, that thing was blowing air through the entire engine bay, and, you know, get a fan circulation going on with the engine bay. I'm thinking the heat is soaking where the turbo manifold is sitting at, and there's no air blowing like in that area, and it's just sitting in heat. So I thought maybe the fan might be my issue. I went to the storage unit to grab my 13-inch Spall fan. This is a really powerful fan. Before we get into that, I went to the P.O. box. I normally open this towards the end of the video, but I'm kind of curious because when I was driving home, I was trying to figure out what was in this package by kind of like feeling up on it, and I don't know what it is, but I want to give a shout out to Jackson Racing. Where did I hear that from? Jackson Racing. I could have sworn I heard that recently. Jackson Racing from Chino, California. Let's go ahead and see what's inside. Cut away from yourself, not towards yourself. What? That's crazy, dude. Dana, it was good seeing you at the Honda meet. Here are some radiator caps. Thanks for creating content for so many people to enjoy and learn from. Keep it up. Chris A. IGJDM.Chris. That's crazy. We were just talking about this, bro, and holy cow. Okay, I remember talking to you. He was like, man, we can't have Static going through his scrap bin getting old radiator caps, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna send you a few. And guys, we have we have some freaking brand spanking new Jackson Racing radiator caps. Wait, no, this was at the Honda meet. This was the IBOC meet in SoCal. This wasn't the old school Honda meet. This was the Honda meet in SoCal. I remember speaking to you, man. I appreciate you so much. Thank you very much for the radiator cap. This is going to come in clutch because the KRX has an old one and Blueberry has an old one, man. Thank you so much, man. It's crazy. We were just talking about this, dude. We have a couple more things inside this package right here, and what is this? Garrett. Oh wow. Screwdriver, insert card, cell phone stand. This is pretty cool. It comes with a nice little sleeve for it as well too. Nice and slim. Maybe it'll fit in my wallet, I'm not sure, but thank you for that. And we also have some stickers. Oh, this is the guy that gave me a Jackson Racing water bottle. It's still here somewhere because I thought the water bottle was pretty cool. But big thank you, Chris. I appreciate it, man. Jackson Racing stickers. Got a CRX one right here. The Garrett all-in-one little thingamabob for your wallet, and the radiator caps. Let's get to work. Got me a 10 mil. Now my shroud is bolted to the radiator. 1, 2, and 2 on the bottom. Disconnect the plug here, and the fan and shroud should come out together. So this right here is an eBay fan that I kind of had just lying around. It's an 11-inch fan, and it has straight blades on it. But if you put your hands like in front of it, you can kind of feel the air, and then like maybe 6-7 inches away, you can barely feel the pull of the fan. So let me turn it on for you guys. I mean, you can't really feel it, but I'm gonna tell you guys what it is. So right here, I can feel the air about this much of the fan. I don't feel anything in the middle, and over here I can barely feel it. Like I can feel it touching my hand, the air, but I can't feel it once I'm further away. So I'm gonna change out this fan for a Spall fan. Let me show you guys the difference. I honestly don't know where this fan came from. It was in my storage unit, and we're gonna use it because it works. So when I hold this and turn it on, this thing is gonna want to torque. The fins aren't straight, it's more of a curve. So let's go ahead and turn it on. You see on my hand? Look at my hand. That's torque. And this thing, I'm holding it probably arm length away, and I can still feel it hit my face. That's a really strong fan. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to modify this fan onto the shroud that came off the radiator. Hopefully it fits, and hopefully this doesn't stick out too far where it's gonna like touch the clutch slave. These two closer tabs are the bottom of the radiator. These two wider are top. So I want to make sure I have this positioned correctly. And it looks like I have maybe less than ½ an inch of lip of the shroud blocking the fan. Perfecto. I'm gonna bolt the shroud on the radiator first and then throw the fan on, because I don't have that much space between the intake manifold and the radiator, and this fan is a lot taller than the eBay one. So let's go ahead and put this all back into the car. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and just change out this cap as well too. Chris did provide two kinds of caps. One says mini, the other one says micro, and I don't know the difference between the two, but I can tell you that this is similar to the micro, and they're about the same height-ish as well too. So let's go ahead and grab one of these out of the bag. Blade razor. Yeah. Jackson Racing 1.4. This one is a 1.1, and the one that was on the car before was a 1.3. And I don't know why it's this way instead of this way, but you know, eBay special. Let's go ahead and fire the car over and let this thing warm up. We might take it for a drive. It is a little warm out today, so yeah. Bleeding out the cooling system one more time because I opened up this top hose and the fan is on right now, and I can feel it all the way over here, where the last one I can barely feel it right there. The car has been sitting here for about 15 minutes now with the heater on, nice and hot, and the temperature is only at 133. Today is, what's today? 76 today. Sun is out and not too shabby. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and just set you guys up and we're gonna go for a drive. Stop and go traffic. It's sitting at 157, 158 on the gauge. I can tell you the fan is definitely an improvement, because it would have been in the 200s already sitting in this stop and go traffic. Temperature went down to 174. 174, wow. We got in temp is 180 for a split second. It's back down to 179. It goes up to 180 and then it drops right back down. Okay guys, so I was on the phone for like a little over an hour since I came back from the drive, and man, the Blueberry, I'm so stoked that the fan made that big of a difference. Normally, getting onto the freeway, I'm already seeing 200 on the gauge. And this time around in 75, 78 degree weather, it was looking freaking awesome, man. 170, 180, and the highest was 180. And it was just there for a quick moment, and then it dropped right back to 170. I did drive with the heater on, like I mentioned, but it wasn't like to the point where it was bothering me that it was too hot or whatever. But you know, if running the heater on in a turbo car like this puts the temperature in the 170, 180s, I'll blast it. So I was also told that running a fan like this, and I'm sure it's somewhere on the small print on the box of the Spal, that when you're running a fan like this, you either run a relay system, which in my all-wheel drive CRX was on a relay system, or you just up the fuse for the fan in the fuse box. So right here, factory 15A, we're gonna change that over to a, I'm probably gonna put a 25 in it. And if you guys know what we're talking about and 25 might be too small or too much, leave a comment down below. What do you guys think I should put in here? But as far as I was told, 25 will be perfect. That is really dirty. 15, 30. I don't know. Let me find a 25. I'm just going to go ahead and just throw a 20 in there. And I mean, I could go 30, but I don't think I want to go too high. But 20 should be just fine. And trust me, there's many of times in my life where I've ran a powerful fan and never even ran a relay or a bigger fuse in the slot. So at least doing this gives me a little bit more peace of mind. So I'm gonna go ahead and slap a 20 in there, and this is an extra 20 slot. Maybe I should put a 30 in that slot. I'll just run a 20 in there. So the fan should have the power it needs without blowing out that 15. I could have put that in there, but let's just put this in the car spare. So anyways, Blueberry, almost ready for the road. I was gonna do the 4-port max solenoid to run as a boost controller, except I think the wire, the plug for the max solenoid may or may not still be in the all-wheel drive red car, because that's where the solenoid came from. And I don't remember if I took it off, but I need that plug to wire up the max solenoid for its power and source for the wires. Another thing I got to do is, because I took the radiator cap from that car, threw it in here, took the one in here and threw it over there, we're gonna put the other radiator cap into the KRX, because this one is pretty bad. The last micro Jackson Racing radiator cap, 1.4. Yikes. At least somebody on the channel paid attention when I used a bunch of old parts, man. Look at this. Holy cow. Oh wow, it can't even fold. That's how crusty the seal is. You know what? I think I'm gonna bleed the cooling system before I install it. No more hoarding, Dana. No more hoarding. So my mom brought me this chair, and her quick fix to fix the seat is some string, some yarn. So I need to somehow get this reattached to the legs so it can be a usable stool again. Let's figure some out. There was a bag here somewhere that had all the stuff that I pulled out of my all-wheel drive CRX, and I'm really trying to find the max solenoid wiring so I could, you know, obviously hook it up, but I don't know where it's at, man. I don't know where it's at. I need that plug. Going through my wiring bin. It's in loom, because I had loom on it when it was in the engine bay, so just gotta find something with a loom on it. I know I didn't mix it up in this bin because I knew that I want to reunite it with its, you know, solenoid, the harness. But where else could it be? I went through all of my totes and most of my boxes that I think or thought might have the harness in it. I went through every single one of those, and I can't find this harness for the max solenoid. So what I did was, the one that I found yesterday, which belongs to the alarm system, the little LED light, I shaved it down and it fits perfectly in there. It's making connection, but it's just very sketch. If I glue it, it probably won't come out. I have to force to get it out, right? And this would probably work. Shout out to Nomis. He was like, that's a JST 2-pin connector. So I'm looking it up, and you know, sure enough, that's what it is. And the thing is that there's a lot of different JST connectors, so I don't even know if I'll even get the right one, right? So I was like, man, you know, if I ordered that, it's probably going to be a couple of days before it shows up, or if Amazon would ship it, you know, obviously within time frame. But I was like, you know what? He was like, the JST connector is also on the alarm little button that comes with the kit. And I was like, I remember seeing it in one of my bins. So I pulled my bin back down, and then this one was on top of that box, and I didn't realize that this had a harness inside of it, like an engine harness that was sent by one of you guys. And as I was digging through this, guess what? Here it is. Little JST connector right there for the Max Solenoid. And now we can run the Max Solenoid in Project Blueberry. Ooh, ooh. Look, the engine's already hot, 92 degrees, because that's default at about 66 or so. Oh, oh, dang. Holy cow, look at that. Sheesh. My boombox has been broken, and I haven't had music in over a month and a half maybe. So I've been using my phone for music, and with today being super hot, it's really getting hot because it stays on. So I got a little ice in a Ziploc just for my phone to sit on it, just to not be too hot. So yeah. So I've been tinkering with the Max Solenoid a little bit here, trying to figure out where I want this mounted. On my all-wheel drive CRX, I had it mounted here, and that's the bracket that I made for the solenoid. It sat somewhere like that, right? But I don't want it to be too exposed or too open to the tower, because I want to keep it like kind of cleared. But this was a nice choice to have, because there are some 10mm screws there, or 10mm thread holes, and I was just gonna leave it there. I also thought about putting it here, and then I was like, no, it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. Another location is right here, this little 10mm. I was gonna put it right there, but it is a little too close to the exhaust housing. There's a little 10mm like threaded hole right here at the bottom, and I'm just gonna mount the solenoid down low, and the lines are long enough to get to where they need to go as far as the gate and the turbo goes, and out of sight, out of mind. If I need to test it, I can always put my hand down there and see if it's clicking. So I'm gonna go ahead and just use this Allen key bolt to mount flush it to the so I'm gonna go ahead and just get my tool for this Allen key right here. This is a downstar bolt, and get this thing mounted down there. You can use a manual controller, except with a Max Solenoid, you can run boost by gear, where you have certain PSI at different gears. Especially if you're front wheel drive, you want boost by gear to help retain a little bit of traction without traction control. I'm using fuel line hoses because it is much thicker than your typical vacuum line, especially being around all this heat here. It's going to take a lot more to melt it, but we have a turbo blanket, so I'm not too worried about it. This thing in the all-wheel drive CRX was really close to the downpipe and dump tube, and it held up perfectly fine, so I'm sure it'll be perfect for this car. Do not forget your crush washers. All right, we have our vacuum lines to the wastegate. What's good?
So did you end up dynoing it that day?
Nah, because I was trying to figure out the heat overheating issue.
Yeah.
But I figured it out already. All right, so I was hanging out with my buddy Nunez for a little bit, one of my high school homies. He has a yellow EK that I haven't seen in like 10 plus years, and I'm surprised he still has it. But he pulled up to pick up his vented valve cover I did for him, and we were just kind of going through a lot of the parts that he's gonna need for his new setup. He just picked up his built motor, and he's gonna be swapping it into his EK here real soon with a Go AutoWorks turbo kit. So I don't know, we might go check it out. We might give him a hand. We're not entirely sure yet because he don't have all the parts as of this moment, but he is going to start the tear down tomorrow. But yeah, anyways, the harness. The harness has only 2 wires for the max solenoid, and this literally is just signal and power, or power and ECU wiring to trigger the max solenoid. I'm probably gonna run one of these wires to a switch 12 volt on the fuse box. The underdash fuse box does have like a bunch of accessory ports for power, and the other one goes to ECU. And as far as the interweb goes, it says you wire it into B21. The second plug for the K series harness, B21 is a yellow blue stripe wire. You snip it and you wire it directly to the max solenoid. This plug right here goes on top of the solenoid. It only goes on one way because of the little tab. It should click in once you have it in place. I can't even see it. There we go. Clicked in. I'm gonna turn the ignition on. These accessory ports right here are all power, and some of them are direct power with key off, and some of these are ignition switch 12 volt. I'm gonna check on my gauge to see which one has power with key on and which one has power with key off. So this one here, we have 12 volts. Key off, it still has 12 volts. This one has 0. Key on, it has 12. This one, no volts at all. Key off, no volts. So this middle terminal, this accessory, is what I'm going to be using for the power wire to the solenoid. So here I have a spade connector already on the wire for the solenoid, and I'm just going to go ahead and plug it right in there. So the second wire for the max solenoid goes to the ECU, and again, as mentioned, second plug, B21. It is a yellow blue wire here, and you have to snip it off the harness and run it directly to the max solenoid. Because my harness already had a terminal on it, I just pretty much terminated the other side and used spade connectors to connect the two, just for easy you know, removal of if I ever took the engine harness out or whatever. This was the same way it was in my all-wheel drive CRX, so that should work perfectly fine. And pretty much just, you know, plug it back into the ECU and enable max solenoid, you know, through the ECU, which I don't have my laptop on me, so I can't even, you know, enable it to click it to see if the max solenoid is working or not. So we're gonna have to do that a different time. But for the most part, it's completely ran. And as far as I'm understanding it, if the max solenoid is off and I drive the car, and if I try to like throttle a little bit, it should be off just the wastegate spring. So max solenoid, done. Well guys, I have not done anything in the last hour and a half or so. I've just been sitting in the car right there in the passenger seat with Lucy chilling in the back, right? And I think we're gonna wrap up this video. All I wanted to do was take care of the temperature issue with this car that I've been battling for the last couple of days, and I think we have it contained. We also installed the 4-port Mac boost solenoid so we can do boost by gear when this car gets tuned. A few other little things I'm gonna do: change out the wastegate spring, put a hose here to direct the crankcase pressure away from the turbo in case it does spit, it doesn't go into the turbo and then back into the system. Can't wait to have some fun with Project Blueberry when it's all said and done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a thumbs up if you did. And if you guys want to stick around for more content, I think we're going to be working on my brother's car next, because I have to get that ready for the dyno as well. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. But I noticed that when I put my hand